the most sacred of relationships, yet time and life make it fragile. Love, trust, respect, and desire, all elements of a successful marriage. Yet so many of us along the way forget. We lead busy lives. We go through changes, big and small. We build walls to protect ourselves. It does not have to be this way. There are clear and exciting ways to bring your marriage and life back on track. Welcome to the Couples Expert Podcast with Stuart Fensterheim.
Hello, and welcome to the Couples Expert Podcast. This is Stuart Fensterheim. I'm having a great start of the new year. I hope you are too. It seems really that this year has started out so exciting because we have so many things that we're doing here at the Couples Expert. And I wanted to also just welcome all my new listeners this year to this podcast because this podcast is really exciting. I love doing this because I help all of you really understand what it takes to have a significant relationship. And I'm talking in my office quite a bit so far this year about authenticity. We talk a lot about that. But so many people forget that authenticity also goes to the language that you use. And I wanted to remind all of you that when you use words, words have power. And you need to really be authentic in your language. Don't change your language just because you think your partner may be triggered by it. You want to explain what you mean. And in a significant relationship with our partners, when they understand that they are the most important person in the world to you, there's a lot of forgiveness for using the wrong choice of words. If there's not, then you need to look at what does that really mean. And it has to do with, do you feel like you matter? Are you pulling your partner's words apart, thinking that if they say something the wrong way, then it must mean that's what they really feel? That's about trust. It's about really digging down deep and asking yourself the question, do you believe that you matter to your partner? If you do, then you will allow them to change their choice of words and say, no, that's not what I meant. If you have a hard time with that, think about whether or not that is meaningful, and what it really means is that you and your partner are struggling to have a relationship where both of you really feel important to one another, and that's a discussion you need to have. This week, though, what we're going to be talking about, and I've titled it, Beware a Relationship Heart Attack. What that means is medical scares are a wake-up call to most people. There are so many cases of people being diagnosed with diseases like cancer and heart disease. Caught early enough, some of these illnesses are treatable and even curable. The patient may say that catching that illness early, the medical scare was the best thing that could have happened because it forced them to take stock of their lives and how they were living and to rethink what's really important in their life. They view everything differently through the lens of that illness, and the things that used to seem so important before the event now pale in comparison to those things that really matter, which generally comes down to the people you love and what you will miss. And why didn't I take care of those things that I needed to really sustain my life or not to get this disease? Sometimes all that's needed is a serious wake-up call to get you on the right track. There are even documented stories of people diagnosed with terminally illnesses that are sent home to put their house in order before they die. They change their lifestyle, their diet. They begin to live differently. They begin to live their life like they should have. Those same people who were given 6 months to live are outliving the doctors that treated them. That was actually true to my great-grandmother. She was supposed to die because of a lot of heart issues. And then what ended up happening is that she did outlive the doctors. It was an amazing story, and she lived till she was like 102. And yet, because of some of the changes that happened for her, she was able to sustain her life and live a long and happy life. Can you see where I'm going with this? We can take for granted that our partner will always be there the same way we take breathing for granted. Breathing is taken for granted until you're short of breath and think that you may be having a heart attack. Then anxiety kicks in, and all the worst case scenarios go through your head. Then you can't breathe. It's so reflexive that you don't even realize how many times you breathe in and out during the wake-up hours. Then all you can do is inhale until you pass out. Then you begin to breathe normally again. And during that time, you just wished, all I want is to be able to breathe one breath. Anxiety and shortness of breath can be a terrifying thing, and certainly can feed into each other, causing no end to problems. That's one of the reasons that both cardiac patients and those suffering from anxiety-related problems are recommended to learn meditative or yoga. This helps not only calm you down, but it slows your heart rate down and your blood pressure, so that if you truly are having a cardiac event, you'll know it's not just anxiety mimicking those symptoms. This same kind of wake-up call can benefit your relationship. Obviously, I don't mean a literal heart attack, but in the same way that a medical scare can shake you to the core, so can a figurative heart attack in your relationship. When couples come to see me in my couples expert practice, they're often right in the middle of that anxiety part of the event. The relationship injury they've suffered, the feelings of fear, anxiety, and fear of losing their loved one and the life that they shared with them comes in together to see me. The anguish and hurt that they're feeling was enough to shake them to the point that they're finally going to do something about it. As with a physical illness, sickness and ill health in your relationship is much easier to diagnose and treat, meaning cure, if it's caught early. Don't wait until your relationship is at death's door before you get help. How anxious or frightened do you have to be? How short of breath are you willing to go until you see a professional to help you treat this illness in your relationship? You can be proactive, and you can get the benefit of early diagnosis of your relationship ills. The research out there is, and I've mentioned this statistic before, is that most people come in to see relationship counselors 6 years, and I'm going to repeat that, 6 years too late. Don't be one of those statistics. Don't wait until a problem before you make the change and be proactive. Act now before it's too late. The heart is a strong muscle, but you also can do irreparable damage if you don't tend to it before the damage has gone too far. This is also true with your relationship. The longer you wait, the more damage gets done. And while I believe all relationships can be repaired and your heart can be repaired, sometimes people are unwilling to go get the surgery, and then nothing could be done except wait for it to die. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can make those most important changes that will save the life of your relationship. I have a couple in my practice that the heart attack that he had made them recognize the things that are so wonderful about their marriage. And they began to put effort in. And this awareness of the two of them had of one another and the meaningfulness that they give to each other has allowed them to really begin to have a perspective on their marriage that's different. People go through things like a diagnosis of breast cancer or prostate cancer. or many different terminal illnesses. And when I get to see them, if one of these scary events happen in the middle of our treatment, a couple that on one session were talking divorce, then this scare happens, they come in, and there's this renewed commitment to each other. There's the recognition of the small things that we have with one another that we take for granted. Part of my job is helping the couples that come to see me recognize that no small event, no small positive interaction is too small to really acknowledge and engage with your partners to let them know how meaningful they are to you. One of the most significant events in my marriage, compared to my previous relationship with my ex-wife, is my wife does my laundry. It may seem like a small event to her and to some of you, but it showed me how much she put the action into the love that she has for me. She wanted me to look good. She knew I was in this practice. She knew I was seeking and doing some talks and doing workshops and wanted me to look the best that I ever look. And that small event, which to her was, "What are you talking about? I'm just doing your laundry," was actually part of my love language, because what it showed me is that she was willing to put into action the words that she used that said I matter to her. These kind of small acknowledgments that are actually big acknowledgments, if you say it the right way and they're meaningful and authentically, are telling your partner that when your husband gets in the car and fills your gas tank, that's powerful. When your wife goes to the PTA meetings or go to the parent-teacher conferences or calls you up and fills you in on something your child just did in the home that was positive, that's not small. That's huge. And that you recognize the effort that they put in to making you feel important to them. You have to tell your partners this every single day, that they matter to you, and not just in general terms like you matter to me because you're my wife, but specific terms that say, this action that you do just right now tells me how much you love me. Count how many times you do that in a day, in a week, in a month. And then also count how many times you tell your partner things that they don't do so well. If you're not doubling or tripling the number of things you tell them that they do on a regular basis about who they are as a person, not just what they do, not just the laundry, not just calling you to filling you in, but who you are as a person, the person you are. You make my world better because you're in it. Your laughter is infectious, and I love being married to you because you bring joy into my life. Those kinds of comments have to be more so. If you want to prevent the heart attack, you need to eat right and exercise. If you don't want a relationship heart attack, you need to do these things. Recognizing and acknowledging these small moments is the greatest place to start in making the shift toward a healthy relationship. Showing appreciation, saying thank you. These are things you need to do also. A specific thank you. How easy is that, and what impact can it make on your partner? One of the things that I tell couples who struggle in this, and one of the ways to really begin to do the work necessary to prevent the relationship heart attack, is my Stewart's Daily Notes. It's a free service that I have out there. And it's video that you'll get 5 days a week. It'll take you about 3 minutes a day. Watch the videos. Put the suggestions into place today. That's how they're done. I send out 5 videos a week, 3 minutes a day, and those videos, if you watch them together, and I recommend that, will give you suggestions and things you can do every single day that will turn your relationship into a relationship that is not susceptible to this kind of heart attack. Don't wait till your relationship needs a trip to the ER or to my office. I'm trying to prevent you guys from having to see a couples counselor like myself. That's the point here. This is not promoting couples counseling. It's promoting doing the things necessary to keep your relationship alive and being the most fun place in your life. You have what you need right now within each of you, this minute, to begin to heal and cure your relationship. If you need help, by all means, get the services of a marriage counselor that specializes in an attachment-based model. That would be an emotionally focused therapist, or John Gottman is another emotionally focused therapy with an attachment-based model. You can survive this and come back to a healthier and stronger relationship than ever before. What we're talking about is a wake-up call that you don't ignore. This wake-up call may be just the thing that you need to give you the incentive to make the changes and the improvements you need for this lifetime of happiness and love with your partner. It is not always easy, but it is worth it. Don't allow yourselves to become so complacent and so comfortable in your routine and comfortable in your negative interactions with your partner that apathy takes over. Apathy is a relationship killer. You have to care enough about your relationship, about your partner, and about your family to break out of your comfort zone and change. It is so scary to do that. For some people, it's downright terrifying. Think of that example of the anxiety I mentioned earlier in the podcast and the shortness of breath that I used at the beginning. But what's scarier? The prospect of staying in this current situation or the prospect of losing everything and ending up without your partner, without your family, and without someone to love and support you today and in the future. But what if you could have it all? What if all you had to do was just make this tough choice? That's really all it boils down to. Are you willing to go along with what's been going on in your relationship, in your marriage, in your partnership, which doesn't feel fulfilling? Or do you just have to kick yourself in the ass and decide to make some changes to improve your life and save the life of this marriage or relationship? You've made tough choices before, I'm sure, in your life. Weigh the positives and the negatives of this one. You have a wonderful opportunity here to make a difference for your future and that of your partner and your relationship and your life. Go for it. Make that tough choice. Break free. Use the wake-up call to convince yourself and your partner what the two of you need to cure your relationship. Actions are the only way to do this. Words don't matter here. Actions speak louder than words, and if you're serious about using this as a wake-up call for this heart attack for your relationship and make those improvements in your life, you can begin right now with showing more kindness and appreciation and letting your partner know how much they mean to you. I really want all of you to think about this. I want to thank you for joining me again this week and really listening to the message here, which is you can control your destiny. Your relationship can be the strongest organ in your body and the strongest resource that you have if you only make it so. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you'll tune in next week. Next week, what we're going to be talking about is that we feel like roommates, so where the heck is the relationship? Join me for that dialogue, and we'll see you again next time. Take care and stay connected.
Thank you for listening. This episode has ended, but your journey continues. Head over to www.thecouplesexperts.com to access all the links and resources mentioned in this episode, as well as bonus content exclusive to podcast listeners. Enjoyed this episode? Why not hit subscribe now and never miss an episode?